So in the last video, we gave some of the considerations of what is needed to get into space, and the speeds are just crazy high. And so if we wanted, for example, to escape the Earth's gravity, maybe to go to a different planet so the Earth doesn't keep pulling us back, we would need to achieve speeds of 25,000 miles per hour at least. And so the next question in front of us then is, well, how do you travel to Mars then? You know, do you just wait till the planets are sort of lined up and just shoot straight for it? In this case here, does the rocket just sort of get up here and you sort of keep the engines on and just keep going all the way across the solar system until you get to Mars? Well, the answer to that question is no. You do not travel in space with engines on that way. So if I go over to this thing over here, I wanted to show you. It's just a video game, but it has a lot of has a lot to do with what we're talking about here at the moment. So if I start this up here, it's just a silly lunar lander game, but see, I can fire the engines like this. Like say I wanted to land somewhere like on that 4 right there. So this, imagine I'm approaching Mars and that's my little lander and I want to get there. So maybe I shot all the way across the solar system, and I've never been very successful at this game. Let me just see if I can land. So see, every time that little triangle come out is obviously the rocket engines that are firing there. Okay, there's my zoomed in view. Let's see if I can make it. I've just never, this game is really super hard. But the reason why I'm showing you this is because this is not how it's done. This is not how we go land on other planets. Oh, it looks like I might even make it this time. I have never done this before. I have never made it this far. Okay, wait. Wait, this is getting kind of exciting. Oh my gosh, wait. Wow, I can't believe that. I should have made it there. Okay, but in either case, this is not what we do. In other words, when you go fly into outer space, there's no straight lines and really no engines. No engines. And now, why are there no engines like that? Why don't we just do that? Well, the simple reason, it would just take too much fuel, okay? And that would make the rocket too heavy and too big. We just can't put that much fuel on the rocket. So when you go back to looking at something like this, this is about all we're able to do. That we're able to pack enough fuel into the booster here, to get us sort of into low Earth orbit and maybe the speed of 25,000 miles per hour, but then we run out of fuel. So with the fuel gone, it's just not going to be possible to keep engines running in space like that. And so you have to do it another way. In fact, usually what happens is that if you're going to go to a different planet like this, here's the Earth like this, and here's your planet over here, say maybe Mars that you're trying to get to. And when you launch your rocket out like this, maybe you go, the fuel can get you like a something like this, but generally speaking, rocket engines only last for about 200 seconds or so. Then you're out of fuel. So the whole rocket is out of fuel. There is literally no more fuel. Those engines are not coming back on. And so what you're trying to do is at least get yourself into an orbit like this around the Earth, and then maybe at some point, maybe when you get like right here, maybe there's just the slightest amount of fuel left, or maybe you have a so-called second stage with a small gas tank on it like that, nothing too major, that you can use to fire the engines once again to break out of this circular orbit and then get yourself on the trajectory to Mars. Okay? But I will say, just with pretty much certainty, by the time you get to the point, say like this here, your fuel is gone. And so what you're having to do the whole time is at these incredibly high speeds that you're traveling at, you just coast all the way to the planet. You do not use your engine. You're just going to coast. But of course, you're coasting at 25,000 miles per hour. Okay, so keep that in mind, and you just get closer and closer. And at some point in this process here, the Mars gravity, for the force of gravity of Mars, is going to start pulling you in. Okay, but then the excitement sort of happens. This is what my main point of this video series is to tell you about here. Is at some point you're going to get close to your planet. So here's Mars here, and maybe here's your rocket coming in, whatever. And maybe you want to land right here because there's some interesting geology or something you'd like to look at. But remember, you're getting this close to where you want to be. And, say it with me. You are still traveling at 25,000 miles per hour. And remember, when you get here, if you want to land safely, you have to sort of get your speed down to 0, don't you? So the question is, what on earth do you do with all this speed? How do you get rid of this speed? Now, I know what you're thinking. Why don't you just fire the engines in reverse to turn it, to stop it, like some air brakes or something? Well, there's no more fuel. You've burned all the fuel up just getting out of the Earth's gravity and up to this far. You don't have any more fuel to burn. So, yes, it does seem it would be a good idea maybe to somehow turn the rocket around, something like this, and now it's facing this way, and maybe fire the rockets in this direction to slow it down, but you don't have the fuel. And so that's what I find so interesting about how engineers got to Mars, is the solutions they came up with how to get rid of all this speed and set the spacecraft down at a very gentle rate. So I'm going to show you a couple of things they thought of, because it is just absolutely fascinating. So stay tuned, next couple of videos.